The film opens with hundreds of comrades gathered for a military activity. While some have retired, many continue to serve their nation. A feast is being enjoyed by some boisterous soldiers in one part of the occasion. The waiter is being teased, paper airplanes are being flown, and food is even being thrown on the floor as a sign of their haughtiness. However, one of them goes too far when he takes hold of a stray dog and begins to injure it. An elderly veteran shows up on the scene and acts right away after realizing this. The young soldier runs off when he pins him to a table and twists his arm. The waiter thanks him for saving the dog when the excitement has subsided. The elderly man then launches into a tirade on how vicious people have become. As the two continue their conversation, they will kill anyone, even members of their own species, without hesitation. Dogs, however, are devoted and compassionate creatures. They are the only animals that prioritize the safety of their owners over their own. The film cuts to a flashback as the elderly guy starts reminiscing about his father, Volkov. Volkov received honors from the Military Air Force Academy just before the start of World War II in 1939. Because of his exceptional performance, he was elevated to the rank of commander right away. However, when the general paid him a visit one evening, the situation drastically changed. It turns out that Tatiana, a stunning woman, was the object of Volkov's attentions. The general didn't approve of their relationship, and she was his daughter. He admonished Volkov to keep away from her and threatened to take legal action if he did not. Nevertheless, our hero swore he would always be by her side and disregarded the threats. He declared that he was prepared to deal with any fallout that might arise. The elderly man tells us that his father suffered greatly as a result of his choice back in the present. The following morning, Volkov was wrongly detained on trumped-up charges of insubordination. He spent 2 years in one of Siberia's most severe prisons. Volkov was made even more despicable after being freed by being made a forest warden. However, destiny had different ideas for him, and one day, when he was working, he saved a puppy from 2 wolves. Volkov gave this puppy the name Prince, and the two of them grew up to be lifelong best friends. The film then jumps ahead to 1943 for another flashback. Now that he is a large dog, Prince is incredibly devoted to his owner. One day, when Volkov is surveying the woodland, a German spy ambushes him out of the blue. When the spy takes out a knife and stabs Volkov, the scenario takes a dark turn. However, Prince appears just in time to take him out. The Red Army regards Prince and Volkov with admiration for their bravery. The two become closer as the months go by. They play, eat, and even sleep together. When the Germans invade the nation shortly after, Volkov enlists in the military and brings his dog with him. However, he is confined to the medical section because he is still recovering from his prior injuries. German bombers launch a fierce morning attack on their camp. Many of their men die as a result of their lack of preparation. However, Volkov finds a way to escape the blasts and arrive at a secure location. After that, he gathers every wounded soldier and puts them into a truck. He then takes a firearm and begins firing at the German soldiers directly. With his amazing skills, he defeats a few opponents even though he hasn't practiced in years. However, Volkov's good fortune soon runs out when a missile hits close by and knocks him down. When it appears that Prince, his devoted companion, is about to die, Prince intervenes. He brings Nina, one of the nurses, with him as he dashes to the medical truck. As it turns out, Nina is Volkov's fiancée, thus she knows the dog right away. When she gets there, she finds him lying there and is able to save him. Following this occurrence, Volkov has emergency surgery and has a portion of his leg amputated. Nina takes care of him day and night at the state hospital after he is moved there. Prince, who is consistently devoted and upbeat, is also by his side. The devoted dog gains popularity fast since the troops all enjoy playing with him. Tatiana, Volkov's ex-girlfriend, pays him a visit one day. She discloses that she is content with her new partner and that they are married. Volkov presents a calm front, but there's no denying that he's upset on the inside. Volkov eventually makes a full recovery after several months, but he now needs crutches to walk. He doesn't even have time to rest, since the general sends him and Prince straight to the front lines. It turns out that the Germans are making terrifying progress, and that their extremely futuristic tanks are causing mayhem. Following that, Volkov is dispatched to a military dog training center, where he has been called upon, along with a number of other troops. Volkov finds out one day that Tatiana's spouse has abused her. Fearful, he dashes to her residence and begins bandaging her wounds. Nina unexpectedly shows up in the middle of everything and finds them in a precarious situation. Her misgivings about their connection were validated, which added to her already skeptical feelings. Volkov tries to reassure her that it's not what it seems like, but she ignores him and leaves quickly. When Volkov returns to the hospital later to check on Nina, he discovers that she has willingly moved to the front line lines of combat. To make him feel even worse, he finds out that she is expecting their child. The next scene transports us to the military installation, where the dogs are going to start their rigorous training. In order to acclimate the dogs to the noises of the engines, the general declares that feeding will now take place beneath tanks. He also discloses their goal. The German tanks will be destroyed by the dogs when they run underneath them. The owners are furious upon hearing this, because it would be a death warrant for their animals. But if they don't obey, the general threatens to punish them. The canines are now instructed to go beneath rolling tanks, which makes the training sessions much more rigorous the next day. According to Volkov, the dogs are sensitive and will not be able to function in such loud environments. When the general hears this, he grabs 2 puppies and tosses them beneath the tank. The mother dog immediately breaks free and runs to save them as soon as he does. She demonstrates that they can function in such conditions by stepping beneath the tank despite its obscene noise. Afterwards, the general's aide reveals that although humans were first used to deliver the bombs, they were too sluggish and frequently got shot before they reached the tanks. They went back to using dogs, which are considerably more swift and nimble. The assistant also discloses that, although they had tried, they had previously taught some canines to detonate bombs beneath enemy tanks and then return. This is because the dogs became disoriented, stopped responding to whistles, and began dropping bombs all over the place. They are consequently forced to send the dogs on missions where they are expected to kill themselves. Volkov is horrified to learn this, since he cannot bear the idea of losing his best friend. When he gets to his lodgings that evening, he begins smashing things out of fury. He has a mental breakdown and thinks of fleeing with Prince. But Tatiana shows up and comforts him before he can take any further action. She gives him a passionate kiss before informing him of the dreadful circumstances their nation is currently facing. Tatiana claims that Prince is a hero who can aid in defending their nation against evil, not just a dog. After learning all of this, Volkov becomes inspired and ultimately chooses to stay and defend his country. During training the next day, he grabs a dish of dog chow and sprints under the tank. Prince races to his rescue as soon as he notices this. The devoted buddy appears to be more worried about his master than the food. Finally, Volkov and his allies are brought to the battlefield in the following scene. The general informs them that they must stop the 4 German tanks that are moving at them. He then equips the dogs with the bombs, getting them ready for the crucial assignment. However, as things are starting to go as planned, one of the dogs charges at a Soviet tank. It turns out that the canines were not taught to differentiate between German and Soviet tanks by the general and his troops. When they finally understand what's happening, it's too late. The unfortunate dog has already emptied their tank and significantly reduced their population. The enemy arrive at that very moment, which exacerbates the situation. Several infantry and 4 German tanks charge the Soviets, who are concealed behind a tiny crest. The commander gives one of his men the order to unleash his dog, since time is running short. Even though the latter is visibly hesitant, he musters the fortitude to send his closest friend on his last assignment. The dog then runs under the tank, tearing it to bits, dodging all of the approaching rounds. The owner is distraught in the aftermath, but he understands that in the long run, this sacrifice would benefit their country. After that, dog is set free and successfully completes his mission. However, the owner is hesitant to get go of the 3rd dog. Rather, he seizes the bomb and moves independently in the direction of the tank. However, this proves to be a poor choice when the enemy shoots him right away. When the general sees this, he acts rashly to save his colleague. However, one of the bullets also hits him, wounding him. The general, seeing no chance left to live, takes the bomb with courage and gives his life to destroy the tank. With this, there is just 1 tank left, and it is moving dangerously close to the Soviet base. Concurrently, the Germans launch an airborne assault, causing injuries to multiple adversaries. Nina, who was employed at the forefront, sustains injuries as well. Volkov emerges from hiding to try to save her when he sees her, but he gets shot and hurt in the process as well. Prince steps in and takes control, just when it looks like there is no hope left. In the midst of the hail of gunfire, he sprints forward and goes under the last tank. The enemy and our hero meet their demise in the next second, due to a massive explosion. Volkov and Nina both look on in dismay, as their dear friend gives his life in defense of the country. The action then moves to the present, where the old guy is telling his story to a large group of devoted friends. He discloses that his mother, Nina, passed away during the siege of Stalingrad a few months later. Regarding his father, Volkov, he joined the Air Force and excelled as a pilot. During the war, he shot down numerous German airplanes, but in 1945 he disappeared. Tatiana then adopted the elderly man and raised him as if he were a son. It was she who related to him the valiant tales of their father and Prince.